tell us a little bit more about Sir Jack Cassidy? I'd like to get a bit of a kind of a verbal portrait of your father.
Well, he was born near Mudgee. His father was a school teacher in a very small school called at Ilford. I think it was a one-man school, who died quite early, leaving a widow and 9 children, of whom my father was the oldest. Dad went to Mudgee High School and was the first student from Mudgee High School to get to Sydney University. They had no money at all. Dad taught as a school teacher for the first couple of years while he was doing his law course. Taught a number of very important people, including Sir, I can't remember his Christian name, Kelly. And when Kelly got a knighthood well before my father, Dad sent him a telegram saying, "Now I'll have to call you sir." But Dad took silk, was admitted to the bar in about 1923, I think. Might have been earlier. Took silk in 1935. Had a series of very major and successful cases. One good story about my father concerns, and this is told by Bob Ellicott on occasions, concerns his habit of having a half bottle of champagne or a quarter of a bottle of champagne before going to court in the morning. During the war, the Labor government had set up an organisation called the Australian, can't remember its precise name, but anyway, it was to do the infrastructure required by the war, building railway lines, airports and so forth. It was headed by Frank Packer and Theodore, whose Christian name I can't remember. Dad appeared for them in a royal commission in which at the end of the war it was alleged they'd feathered their own nests and so forth. The Commission's report was entirely in favour of them. It was pretty tiring, and somewhere in the middle of it, Frank Packer gave Dad 24 half bottles of French champagne and said, "Jack, you better try have one of these before you go to the court in the morning and smarten you up." And that he did. He used to have his junior would open the bottle, the half bottle, before he went to court. He'd have half the half bottle, somehow or other get the cork back, and then it would be taken up to court, and the remainder of the bottle drunk at the morning tea adjournment. After the Royal Commission was over, the practice continued, although he bought his own champagne, and in those days there weren't very many Australian sparkling wines. There was White Seal, I think, and Great Western, and Dad used to buy half bottles of White Seal. And when he was in very, very close to the end of his career, when he appeared in what up to then was the longest case in Australian history, American Flange against Ream Australia, when Dad appeared successfully for the defendant, Ream, he still had this habit with the bottle of champagne. Fairly difficult judge, although Dad always got on very well with him. Freddie Myers was the judge in this case, and the court was in what I think was until recently called Mina Chambers, facing east. And one morning, when the case was going on in summertime, and this the quarter bottle of champagne was sitting there in the red bag in the court with the top on. The heat got too much for it, and with a large bang, the cork flew out. The judge was not one who had a great sense of humour, but on the particular occasion he ignored what had happened. Another one of my father's very famous cases was he appeared again successfully for Kingsford Smith in the Coffee Royal inquiry, the inquiry into the death of, was it Armstrong or Anderson, which was the newspapers alleged had been the result of a fundraising scam being conducted by Smithy. The Commissioner's report was entirely favourable to Smithy, and incidentally, as a result of it, Dad was given a cross section about 3 inches by 8 of the laminated propeller of the Southern Cross, which I still have on my desk.